Surprise! Bleach! It's good, it's helpful, but dear God, do not drink it. And funnily enough, that description somehow also fits anime's Bleach. See, in the anime sphere, the big three are the pioneers of the space, influencing countless stories through tropes, themes, and ideas. Some more literally than others. But in this respect, Bleach is usually talked about or seen as the least important or the throwaway of the big three. And it is anything but that. Now, if you think that this is gonna be a video talking about, oh, why Bleach deserves its spot in the big three, this is not that kind of video. I actually already have a video like that on my channel, which y'all should definitely watch after this one. But today, I'm arguing that Bleach is actually the blueprint for one of the most dominant formats of modern shonen. So if you're ready to dive into the most influential anime potentially of all time, y'all, please do something for me. Like the video, okay? That is incredibly important. Subscribe to the channel for more anime content just like this every week. And share it around with all your friends who love this series. You know what we always say here. Let's get it going. Also, make sure you subscribe to me and my boys over at CSY, and especially that you're watching Matrix Gen Z. It's our newest video and we're trying to get it to blow up. We need your help. Bleach. One of my favorite shows. It is definitely in my top 5 anime of all time. Is it 5 on that list? Yeah, but when that list also contains my first ever anime, Fairy Tail, my guilty pleasure, Black Clover, my favorite franchise in the history of the world, One Piece, and Naruto's also there, it makes sense. But Bleach doesn't get the respect it deserves a lot of the time. It's often treated as the weak link or the one that fell off, and while there are some validity to those arguments, bolstered by the fact that One Piece and Naruto were actually competing against each other and the authors themselves said that each other's competition made it stronger, essentially boosting both of them up while leaving Bleach a bit behind, the way it's treated is downright disrespectful, to the point where people want to start replacing it in the big three with other stuff. Not how the big three works, by the way. Compared to Naruto's long-term plot or One Piece's world building, I've heard Bleach framed as messy or shallow, but the thing is, Bleach was never trying to emulate the other big three. Each of the big three represent very different things with the stories that they're trying to tell. Naruto's story highlights legacies, repeated cycles, and the dichotomy of talent versus hard work. Well, that last one could be argued, but that's a video for another day. Actually, that's a good idea. Let me write that down. One Piece's story centers freedom, inherited will, and grand scale storytelling. But Bleach at its core is all about identity, death, fear, and most importantly, the line between human and monster. And these themes are exactly what made it so influential later on. But I'm sure you're wondering what exactly this format that I keep talking about is. Well, let's get into it. While it didn't invent the idea of humans versus monsters, Bleach popularized and standardized a specific shonen structure that I'm going to call the human-demon dichotomy. A story structure consisting of 5 major components. A modern or semi-modern setting, typically this comes in the form of modernish cities, particularly in Japan. A hidden supernatural society, usually hidden from humans, the majority of whom exist unaware of a supernatural threat, which manifests as some form of corrupted souls or monsters. A professionalized system of exorcists, usually the protagonist faction. Essentially, it's just a group of people dedicating their lives to the eradication of said supernatural threat. A power system usually tied to spiritual identity and emotional state. A power system that's typically fueled by things like really strong emotions, making a stand or a show of resolve, fear and pushing past it or conquering it, and the realization of one's true identity or true self. And the most distinguishing component, a clear dichotomy that pits humans versus some sort of demonic entities, which are the monsters, corrupted souls that we said earlier. In my view, the most important theme that Bleach has is that the line between human and monster is not fixed. Ichigo is an amalgamation of all sorts of things. Human, Shinigami, Hollow, Quincy, and it's especially prevalent in his inner battles with White and Zangetsu. Aizen is a Shinigami doing research on Hollows, attempting to create artificial ones, and even becoming a monster himself towards the end of his villain arc. Meanwhile, you have Hollows that aren't evil like Nell, Dandachaka, Pesh, and even the fact that despite still being Hollows, the Arrancar can retain a lot more of their consciousness, symbolized by really powerful Arrancar, especially the Espada, being a lot more human-like. And these blurred lines become the philosophical backbone of not only Bleach, but the genre as a whole. And you can really see how the human-demon dichotomy feeds into other series like Jujutsu Kaisen, Chainsaw Man, and Demon Slayer, all of which refine, remix, and at times completely subvert Bleach's formula. Starting with Demon Slayer, we can see that this is the most straightforward descendant. It literally has multitudes of direct parallels. The humans versus demons is a given, but you also have a specialized slaying core, the Demon Slayers and the Gote 13, as well as a clear ranked hierarchy within those groups. Demon Slayers have individual breathing styles similar to Shinigami's Zanpakuto. You got the initial monster of the week format that ends up escalating into higher threats. The villain groups are also very similar, such to the point that in my Muzan video, I literally called the 12 Kizuki the Demon Espada. You also have similar processes when you compare Muzan's demonification and Aizen's holification. Demon Slayer does do a few things differently too though. I mean, it keeps morality simple. For the most part, the Demon Slayers are good, and the demons, while perhaps sympathizable, are bad. It is also set in an older time frame, being more based around feudal Japan. But here's the key difference that really allowed Demon Slayer to blow up. It kept the story simple. A lot of people complain about how formulaic and box standard Demon Slayer's story is. I have in the past as well. And I mean, for good reason, I do agree. Demon Slayer is not a complex story, so if that's what you're looking for, you're not gonna get it here. But it is precisely because it's simple that it's so effective, because it means that watchers can focus on the emotional storytelling and or the absolutely beautifully animated fight scenes and hype scenes. Demon Slayer is easy for a wide population to understand, which is important when you consider that we adults are not the target market for shonen. It's preteen and teenage boys. Especially growing up in this era, attention span and reading comprehension are kind of fried. Basically, it's Bleach's format, just stripped of complexity and optimized for max appeal. And based on how the first Infinity Castle movie did last year, does it work? Now with Chainsaw Man, we see this influence getting a bit weird. In an interesting way though. Devils in Chainsaw Man are manifestations of fear, in the same way that hollows are born from the spirits filled with regret and despair. In terms of MC writing though, from the admittedly very few episodes of Chainsaw Man that I actually watched, Denji is actually a subversion of Ichigo. Ichigo's entire MO is that he fights to protect others, especially the people that he cares about. Meanwhile, Denji is just fighting to survive and to start feeling something, stemming from his life of poverty and abuse where he felt nothing. They're both driven to fight, but their motivations are wildly different, which leads to very interesting character differences and choices. For the power systems, devils can't really easily be translated to Zanpakuto like that. However, they do both have elements of externalizing inner power, especially as every Zanpakuto does have its own sentient spirit and, the user kind of has to control that and work with it. I would actually say that the devils are more comparable, at least, to the process of holification or just inner hollows in general, especially for people like Ichigo and the Vizard, where they have another being inside of them trying to get out to just cause mass havoc and destruction, which they must have the mental and sometimes physical strength to rein in. However, Chainsaw Man as a story takes a very different road from Bleach. And in fact, not only Bleach, but the entire concept of shonen as a whole. The exorcisms aren't painted in a good or bad light, and there is no noble afterlife that the souls are being sent to and it's like a mission. There's none of that. The main themes of Chainsaw Man are pure desire, and how trying to attain those desires can lead to exploitation, pain, and suffering. Fujimoto really took Bleach's concept and removed the shonenized lens from it, turning it into a dark critique of modern societal evils. And I'm not gonna lie, I do have to get back into it because it does sound like it's getting interesting, especially with the Reze arc having just recently come out. Now we come to perhaps the most topical of all the anime that Bleach has influenced today, JJK. The anime has just returned with the debut of the Culling Games, and based on the Maki fight that I watched a few days ago, oh my god, are we in for some peak. And once again, that peak would not be possible if not for Bleach. JJK draws on a lot of Bleach concepts, cursed spirits and hollows being so similar, especially being born once again through the manifestations of negative human emotions. You got a professionalized exorcist society when looking at either the Soul Society or Jujutsu High. Even in terms of setting, both portray modern Japan with more supernatural elements added in. Karakura Town, despite being fictional, is in modern Japan. And I mean, we even see them with like cell phones and everything like that. And I mean, JJK literally has Tokyo, Kyoto, and Shibuya. as main locations. Yuji and Ichigo also have a lot of parallels. They're both kind of thrown into the supernatural world without much preparation and kind of have to just figure it out as they go along, getting stronger as a result. They also both have monsters inside of them, White and Sukuna, both beings of destruction that want nothing more than to induce crash outs. There are a lot of character role similarities as well. I mean, it's easy to see how Gojo and a lot of the other teachers can represent the captain class Shinigami, and I mean, even the ranking system for Jujutsu sorcerers is very similar to the ranking system for the Gote squads. But where Demon Slayer takes Bleach and simplifies it, JJK takes Bleach and complicates it. It has a much stricter and more rule-heavy power system with curse techniques, which I would always argue gets lost towards the end of JJK, but again, video for another day. It also has a much higher mortality rate. Gege is not afraid to kill someone off. In fact, not afraid isn't the right word. He revels in it. Seriously, if you find yourself getting attached to anyone in JJK, don't. It's a lot less funny, comical, and romanticized, leaning more into the cruelty and seriousness. And most of all, JJK switches up the fundamental question being posed by Bleach's story. Bleach first establishes what the system is, and then all the fights, the storylines, the arcs, all surround everybody trying to maintain that system as much as possible. I mean, it is literally the Soul Reaper's job. The reason that they have to perform the console and everything like that is to literally maintain balance between the worlds, which is why when the Quincy's came through and were threatening that balance, they had to wipe them out. Meanwhile, JJK actively interrogates whether having this system is beneficial in the first place, with characters like Geto and concepts like the merger with Tengen, the plan to eliminate cursed spirits by eliminating all non-sorcerers, culminating in a situation where you can't really say that any party is really wrong. There are a few other anime that can be said to be inspired by Bleach as well. Blue Exorcist, Tokyo Ghoul, and even to some extent Dandadan. Though I'll be the first to admit that it's such a departure from not only Bleach but shonen in general that is precisely why Dandadan is probably going to end up being top 10 when its story is all said and done. But regardless, all trace their roots back to the tree that is Bleach. Tite Kubo really taught a whole generation of creators how to blend horror with action, blur the hero and monster, and ground supernatural conflicts in emotions. So if there's one thing that you take from this video, it's this. Everyone needs to say thank you to Big Daddy Bleach. But now I'm trying to hear from y'all. Are there any other stories that you can think of that are inspired by Bleach? And what do you think about this whole concept in general? Have you ever had it, realized in this way? Let me know all the good stuff and more in the comments. That is the end of the video, y'all, but before we go, like it, subscribe, and share it around with all your friends who love anime and manga. Remember, trying to build a community here, but I need your help to do it. That's gonna be all for me. I'll catch you on the next one, and always remember, Bankai!